So let's get right into it. Start with the NFL. Another week down. Um, those Colts, they took the L. Um, I'll let Marcus go deeper into that and the reasons why.
All right, well, there's multiple reasons why we lost this game. We could easily say that we very much missed DeForest Buckner. It seemed like we had no answer for Derrick Henry as he tore through us almost every play, and he was just murdering us from there. And Tannehill did end the game with 2 touchdowns. I think he hit 300 yards or 200, no, 200, and it was not bad a game for Tannehill as well. And yeah, we're just missing pieces. We made the Titans look good, and yeah, it's pretty much what happened
Yeah.
from there. You guys got anything more?
It was a perfect storm.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty
yeah,
clear.
I do. I do. I'm not gonna
Good.
lie. The beginning of the game, it was kind of it was actually honestly like despite everything going on, the setbacks and everything, we were still keeping up. It was 14-14. We were keeping up. We could have had a chance to go in front. Stay off. We could have had a chance to take a lead 17-14, and we missed that opportunity. Anthony Costanzo got hurt, and as soon as he got hurt, everything went downhill
Yep.
despite the defense and their let's call it lackluster. Let's call it lackluster for the time being, so we don't get too angry. And their lackluster performance without Buckner and Rock breakdown, and just everybody's just like not willing to hustle. It all came together like as soon as I think Anthony Costanzo getting hurt was the biggest thing about that game. Is as soon as that happened, the offense completely fell apart. And as a former quarterback, getting your line taken away from you, especially someone so reliable as Costanzo, who's so impactful that like without Costanzo, you're a 2-3 football team, or a you're a 2-3 win football team, not 2-3. You're a 2-3 win football team for like the whole season. And with him, you're like 9 wins. You know, with him being gone, it's such a uncomfortable situation to be in as a quarterback. It's so hard to want to be confident and make good throws.
Especially when it's your
And
blind
it's
side.
exactly so. And then on the other side, I mean, and then Raven Clark comes in, and he didn't play good against the Packers. He got benched, and Green came in, and I think he did a better job, and I think he deserves more playing time.
He's also hurt. That was the big reason that Clark got more snaps even against the Titans was because Chad Green is hurt.
Yeah, I know, but like at least coming into this weekend, I think he deserves more playing time because against the Packers, like I say, he did play better. I think Danny Pittner did play good though. I think it was his good first start, or one of his first starts, and it was against a pretty good, I want to say a pretty good pass rush. So, I mean, overall, like the offense, I think was doing really good up until Costanzo got hurt, and I think that was a really big heartbreaker. But yeah, which kind of sucks because you expect like your team to uplift itself and like have all this energy, especially in 2020 football season. You know, you have certain illnesses that seriously affect teams, and you have a lot of stadiums that don't have fans in them, so a lot of the noise is either coming from the music or whatever that the booth is playing, or you have essentially crowd noise during the game, which is just coming from either sideline, and who can be loudest from the either sideline. And I think you need a lot of that energy that's coming from that sideline to uplift your team. And I don't think that happened. I think the Titans were louder, and I think they were more prepared to win, and I think they wanted to win more than we did. I just don't think we had enough heart to win that game.
Hopefully, there'll be a rebound game against the Texans, who have had multiple players suspended. Uh, this week, so that'll be an interesting game. The Texans have been looking much better, and Deshaun Watson is playing very well. But I think a big takeaway for me, moving on from the Colts, was, man, that Chiefs team made the Buccaneers look like a pee-wee football team, man. I mean, they made that defense look horrible. I mean, it looked like it looked like Tyreek Hill was going to have 1,000 yards in that game alone by the end of the game. I mean, it's 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Now, obviously, he slowed down but they had to start doubling him every single play. Otherwise, Carlton Davis had no chance against Tyreek Hill. And Patrick Mahomes was slinging. He was slinging the rock all over the field. They had no answer. And that game ended up being much closer than it should have. And I'll give the Bucks props for making it a game, but at the end of the day, I think even though it was a 3-point game, it didn't feel like a 3-point game, if that makes sense. By the end, I didn't think the Bucks were going to win, even down 3, down 1. I don't care. They didn't really deserve to be there. They hadn't played well enough to really want to be there. I think if you look at a bright spot for the Bucks, Ronald Jones Jr. is very good at running back, which I'll be honest, I didn't know who he was before this season. And when Bruce Arians said he was his guy, I was like, over Fournette. But from what I've seen, Fournette can't catch a pass, and Ronald Jones is arguably the better runner and pass catcher. So that'll be interesting for the Bucs moving forward. Tom Brady needs to play better. There is no debate about that. That's just a fact. Tom Brady needs to play better. Gronk has been surprisingly productive recently. He's now the third most receiving yards for tight end. He has over 500 receiving yards, which if you looked at the start of the season, you would not think that with how slow he started. He had like 9 yards in his first game on like 1 reception. So he's definitely picked it up, and he's been productive, surprisingly productive, honestly, recently. But the Bucs have a lot of questions to be answered after that Chiefs game, which some people would have said would have been a Super Bowl matchup at the beginning of the year. So the Chiefs look really good. I think they're the best team. Personally, in my opinion, the Chiefs look better than the Steelers, who ended up in a way too close of a game with the COVID Ravens, who had Trace McSorley in at quarterback by the end of the game. So there's a lot to be said there. We can talk about that later. But one more thing I want to talk about, and I want to get Tony as a quarterback, and I'll get Marcus's opinion on this. The Broncos situation was quite interesting this week. Tony, what do you have to say?
It sucks, but yeah, that's all you can say about it. That's all you can say.
It sucks.
My personal opinion, you guys know, I don't really care to wear a mask. But that's on me, though. That's on me. If I get sick, that's on me. I'm not gonna go complain like somebody got me sick and it's somebody else's fault. No. You shouldn't ask for a forfeit. I mean, you shouldn't ask to get your game flexed to a different week. That's what I meant. You shouldn't ask for that. You guys were in the quarterback room. You guys didn't wear masks. I mean, somebody else got sick. I mean, it sucks. But it was your guys' fault. Like, you guys were at a private session with quarterbacks alone with the quarterback coach. There's nothing else to say about that. I don't really feel that bad. I mean, and if you knew he had COVID, then you shouldn't have gone into the room with him and been in that close proximity and studied for hours with him. You could have done it online like we're doing right now. So I don't feel bad. It does suck, though. It does suck. And I don't feel bad.
From my perspective, it seems like that situation kind of sums up the NFL season so far during COVID. It's just like just players after players just getting knocked down due to it. It's like dominoes.
Well,
like
and
one gets down, then everybody else.
What's interesting about the NFL is how they do COVID tracing. None of those the other 3 quarterbacks, to my understanding, never tested positive for COVID. It was literally just because they were close contact, and that's why they couldn't play, which is so interesting because that's the rules. You know what I mean? Like, if you just followed the rules, they wouldn't be in that situation in the first place. So you can boo-hoo all you want, Broncos, but if y'all had just done the right thing and worn masks, you wouldn't be there in the first place. And I think at the end of the day, that was unacceptable, and that was very, very stupid. Just
Well,
frankly.
if you wear a mask, that doesn't stop the rules from being rules. Like you can wear a mask all you want, but if you're in close proximity with them, a mask doesn't do anything, and you're still gonna get that rule implemented anyways. So it had nothing to do with the mask. It just had to do with like they
Well,
still had the meeting
the
to
reason they
begin
didn't
with.
get to play was because they didn't wear a mask. Because if you're close contact and and you don't test positive, then you're allowed to play. That's like when the Colts put Quentin Nelson on the close contacts list for a day. That was because he had been in a meeting with someone, but he had been wearing a mask and they had been socially distancing. So when he tested negative the next day, he was still allowed to come back on the active roster. So at the end of the day, it is actually the mask that did it in because they.
Well,
Wearing a
I
mask
think
is
that
like
I think that's kind of I think that's kind of. I mean, I don't want to get into it because that has nothing to do with the show. I just don't think that makes any sense. Like me me having a mask. Like if I come up and give you a hug, that's not.
But that's kind
Then
of the
that's
point is that just make sure you just follow the rules, dude. I'm not saying that the
fine.
rules are absolutely perfect. I'm just saying like the Broncos should have known the consequences that
no. I
could
agree. I
follow.
agree. I
So
agree. Like we all. I think we all agree. Nobody feels bad.
no. Good
I
for
mean,
Kendall Hilton. I think it's Hinton. Kendall Hilton.
Hinton.
For
Good
yeah, we're gonna.
for completing an NFL pass after
I
being
don't
a
know why they.
practice squad wide
I don't.
receiver.
John Elway's in the booth. I don't know
He
why you
can't
didn't just
play
bring
John
him down from the.
Elway.
Did you
What do
hear?
you mean? At least
Did you
he
hear
has the knowledge,
they
you know,
tried
the
to get
knowledge and
they
experience.
tried to get one of the coaches to
Yeah,
play
the
the
player
quarterback.
control coach.
Yeah.
They asked the NFL if they could start their player
Bro,
control
that's
coach.
desperate.
Bro,
That's
that's talk.
desperate,
Yeah,
bro.
talk about desperate. My goodness.
Man.
You know, they probably would have done better getting the 7-year-old in row 200. You know,
Well, I think we learned that NFL defenses. It doesn't matter if you're a high school championship winning quarterback or if you were a college backup quarterback. It's much harder than that. Like you can't just be a quarterback. And no offense to you, Tony, but I don't think you would have done
No.
any better. So.
No, I can't. I could have, like Philip Rivers said when he was playing against Aaron Rodgers after the game. I know where the ball needs to be, and I know how to time it. I can make those throws in my mind. I just can't physically make those throws.
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah,
So, I
especially
mean,
when those NFL defenses don't play around with their disguises and stuff like that. So especially a team like the Saints, who are very well disciplined on defense and have been quite good at their best. So yeah, I mean at the end of the day, that's on the Broncos, and let's move on